Hi guys, and welcome to another edition of Being Sneaky. Okay, in the last episode I showed you a very super simple of loading down a weight or treetop or something else, cutting a groove into a tree with a small saw and putting a small stick on it to lock it in. I then said I ran the other end of my line over here as a trip line, so that whenever you hit that trip line, it went up. Well, maybe I want to do something a little different. So we're going to take that same basic engine and we're going to add a little bit because I want to give you a surprise. Okay? I want you to find a prize, and then when you go to pick it up, I'm going to give you a surprise. Okay? So first let me show you how the anchor connects. Okay, I need to interject one thing right here. In my previous video showing this quick trigger, someone pointed out in the comments, quite correctly, that you should be very careful about the trip wire. It should be very low, because if you make it up high, for let's say you're thinking of a vehicle, and somebody comes flying along on a motorcycle or on a four-wheeler or something, you can do severe harm to them. This was something that I know for a fact was done in World War II. That the Germans were doing, especially in Belgium. They had taken stuff like fine wire, like piano wire, and they'd stretch it across the road, and when a Jeep with a Scout or whatever would come flying down the road, they didn't have the windshield, it'd be down, it'd hit them in the head, decapitate them, or severely injure them. So they had to weld on the front of Jeeps this piece of angle iron with a kind of a sharp edge from the front bumper up so it would hit and cut such wires. So the gentleman is correct. We do not want to put anything that would endanger someone, especially something like that. So only thing we're talking about here is security, to let us know, to give us a giveaway, to give us a warning. We're not trying to make man traps to hurt people. Okay, so let's be clear on that. Okay, here's the close-up. Here's that notch we created last time. And here is a toggle that I simply tied on to a line that bends this tree down. I come up here and I set it in that notch. I angle it just a little bit and I set it just like that. So now this is spring loaded to go that way, but I want this to be triggered and give you a surprise. So I want this, once this triggers, to just go. I don't want it hooked to anything else. So that's where I'm going to attach here. Now how I'm going to do that is I'm going to take my line, take up this excess right quick. Alright, I'm going to take my line and I'm going to make a big loop. Now I'm going to take that and I'm going to take the other end and anchor to the prize. And then I'm going to pull it underneath that anchor point, and I'm going to bring it back to here. When I bring it up to right here, I'm going to hook it on the far end of that line, just like that. So it's just sitting on the far end of that stick. That makes it very sensitive. So now just a little bitty tug on this line, and that's going to just pop it right out, so that when it pulls, it will go punk, and yonder it goes, without any effort hardly. So it stays locked until I pull it, but when I pull it, it goes. Okay, now that we've seen that and seen how we're going to take the line, now let's take the other end of this line, and it's going to come over here to the prize. Now the prize is something in the middle of the road, the path. It's going to be something that I'm going to leave there knowing that you're going to want to pick it up. How about something that looks valuable, like a knife? How about a bottle of beer? There was a time in the past where we went to a place where a lot of individuals like to go. And so in the dirt, in the leaves, on the way in, I put a couple of beer bottles, like 3 of them, that were full. They're full of water, but you don't know that. I just simply recapped them nice and tight so they look like they're full bottles of beer. And it looked like they may have fell off the back of a truck or something like that. Well, one of the bottles was kind of slid into the leaves, a little pile of leaves right there. And of course, they came up and picked up the first one and went, hey, and picked up the second. And then when they grabbed the third one, they pulled the trip cord. Gave them a little surprise. Something went whoosh and spooked them and let me know they were in the area. See? So sometimes it's not just you want a trip line for them to hit. You want them to announce their presence. And so I'll give them something to pick up. Something that has no value but looks like it might. And that's what we're going to do. So what we're going to do on this end, we're going to give you a piece of something of value. For this, I'm going to use my wallet. Now, an old junk wallet that you pick up at the garden show or whatever, and you take a single $1 bill and leave it kind of puckered out like that, or stuck in there at an angle or something, so they can see it, that it's a real dollar bill, something like that, that would be real interesting, wouldn't it? Now, if I take my cord and I go around it and I go back through that loop, so that cord is now hooked to this, and it's just laying in those leaves. You're going to reach down and pick that up, ain't you? Because it's something encouraging. So a junk wallet that I pick up at a yard sale or whatever for 25 cents. And I sacrifice $1 for something else of value, will make something that you'll reach down and grab. And you'll grab the trigger. So how are we going to set that up? Well, we're going to hook this line to it, and I'll do that in a second. But first, we got to talk about how we transfer this energy from here to there. And we're going to do that by taking a couple of sticks. Taking the old Buck 110 today. And looking at it and finding which would be the natural best way to do it. I think this way. We're going to sharpen that stick up just a little bit. Just like this. I'm at the shooting range again, guys. Don't worry, nobody's shooting at me. Alright. So that I can drive that into the ground. Take a second one. Same way. About like that. I want to give it just a little bit of a point. It's been my experience. A wedge works better than a rounded point. Rounded point wants to snap off. A wedge you want to slice in. I'm putting it in the dirt. Alright. So what am I out this far? I've got about 6 feet of cord pulling down the tree, hooking, and I've got about 8 feet of cord that'll run over for this. So less than 20 feet of cord. Pretty good security system for very little. Let me show you how I set this up. Okay, I'm going to take my 2 sticks. I'm going to put my first stick in, right like this. I'm going to drive it down pretty short. Okay. Now I'm going to take my second stick and I'm going to come at an angle like that to it, see? And I'm going to stick it down, just like that. Just pretty solid. And that makes a pass-through right here that I can run my little line under, and this isn't going to come up. So I'm going to bring my line from my trigger that way, and I'm going to turn it right here and go around this and come underneath that one and come over here. So when you pull on it, it's going to pull straight this way and pull that line straight that way. If I go around this stick, it wants to go down. I want to come around this outside stick and hook and go in this direction. So about here is where I would actually put the trigger. I want my trigger over here maybe 2 feet from this, okay? Okay, here's my surprise. This is my tree leaned over, my noise maker, my whatever, set up and under tension. I pulled and I hooked, and I've got that line hooked to it. I then run it down to my target. So that when I come up and I pull that, I'm going to trigger my surprise. So as I come up here and find my prize, when I grab it and pull, zoom, there it went. There's my short line that pulled and triggered. That one went. Now why not make them one line? Because you're holding the line. And that could be bad. And I want you to understand now that that could be bad. How could that be bad? Well, if you've got a line rigged up like that, and on this end, you've got the line, and I grab it on something like that, and I trigger it, and that line suddenly takes off at high speed, I could get a burn on the hand or something, right? It's kind of like if you had a trot line. You know, for you old trot line fishermen like me, you're very careful how you handle that line, because if you grabbed a hold of a trot line and there was a gator or something big on it and it took off, that line comes running down. You got a treble hook on that end that's going to harpoon into your hand. So we don't want to do anything that's going to get anybody hurt here, okay? It's just about triggering and giving them a surprise. So by loading that and then them triggering, it's going to jump up in front of them right quick. Maybe I've got noise makers or whatever on this tree to generate some sound so I can see it. Maybe there's something visual about this. So I'm on the far side of the lake and I see that tree spring back up. Maybe I got something in this tree that I can see at distance, and that tells me somebody's been there, okay? But they picked up their prize, and that's what triggered it. 2 lines. If it's 1 line, then that line wants to take off, or you're holding it. So the thing ain't gonna jump, because it's going to dink and you're holding it. It doesn't give you much of a thing. See, I want 2 lines so they break free, and then this one can go by itself, phew, and make my noise and etc. Again, I don't want it to be 1 line, because if there's something on that end that was sharp or in any way that could hang, the person's hand could be damaged, and you don't want to do that. See, this is all meant in fun. Don't be dangerous with this. Okay? So, I hope you've enjoyed this, guys. If you've liked this content, please hit that like and share button. I will be happy to post more in the near future. I'm trying to figure out the best way to word many things, because I want to pass on the information to you as correctly as I can and stay within guidelines. Till next time, guys, I'm Blackie, wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.